Hello everyone, welcome back to another Doctor Who collection update. In today's collection update I'm doing the birthday edition for 2024, where I'll be showing you all the lovely bits of Doctor Who merchandise I've picked up since January to the end of March. And we've got quite a nice selection of Doctor Who merchandise because I stumbled across a local collectible shop that had a load of Doctor Who books. So I may have gone a little bit crazy in there, so I'll be showing you those. We've got figures, we've got Big Finish of course, and we've got Blu-rays as well. So yeah, quite a nice selection of Doctor Who merch to cover in this collection update. So if you like your Doctor Who merch and you're new around here, then please do consider hitting that subscribe button, because there's plenty of Doctor Who merch related stuff on the channel, from collection updates, unboxings, reviews, you name it. This channel pretty much covers it all. So if you like that sound of that, then please do hit the subscribe button and leave a like, because you know it really does help the channel out. So without further ado, let's begin the collection. Kicking off the collection update with one of the most surprising reveals so far in the Doctor Who merch community this year, and it is by character options. So we're kicking off with the figures, and that is the Fugitive Doctor and TARDIS. My goodness, what a magical and wonderful surprise this was to drop, because I don't think anybody sort of suspected. There was a rumbling sort of last year that hey, there's a Fugitive Doctor in the works, but he kind of dismissed it, going yeah, we'll see. And my goodness, this figure is worth the wait. I have done a review on this set, so if you remember my full thoughts on the set and see it out of the box, and check out that review. But yeah, my goodness, the likeness to Jo Martin, one of the best likeness character options I've done. And I'm really excited about the future, what character options have got with this sort of Toy Fair sort of figures that they showed, the Ncuti Gatwa, Millie Gibson and the Wraith Warrior. Just seeing the improved engineering articulation to see character options sort of upping the sort of ante, because the way sort of the action figures have been engineered and evolved over the past couple of years, because I collect the Star Wars Black Series, which in terms of articulation and engineering is just brilliant, with sort of the pinless joint look. You know, they have really sort of mastered their craft, and it's nice to see character options starting to pump a little bit more money in. And I reckon the figures are going to be a little bit more pricey, because the standard Black Series figures £25, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see sort of the Doctor Who figures go to sort of, you know, 15 to 20 quid. I know we've been spoilt with the B&M set recently with pricing, but if we get sort of improved articulation and, you know, sort of more detailed looking representation of the characters, I'm all for it. Next up we have a DVD and Blu-ray. So the first Blu-ray release I picked up this year was Doctor Who The Daleks in colour, part of the 6th anniversary celebrations, where they recolorized the first Dalek story. And you know what, it was an interesting experiment. I think the first sort of 3/4 are really strong, and then sort of the last sort of 25% of it is where it starts to crumble away. But it's an interesting little experiment. It's not the definitive version of the Daleks for me, but I think that it's a nice little oddity to have in the collection, and to go, hey, do you want to experience some William Hartnell in, you know, this? I think the thing with these sort of recolorizations are they're made for people who find sort of black and white a bit of a barrier to get into, so it's a great way for people like that to experience you know, the first two Doctors. But yeah, an interesting experiment nonetheless. Now the main Blu-ray release, what we're all excited about, I'm probably making our way through slowly because there's so much on these box sets. It is Doctor Who The Collection Season 15. I have watched 2 stories so far. I've watched Horror Fang Rock and I've watched Invisible Enemy. I plan to do a video reviewing the season, because it's a season what in the past I've been quite negative towards, but you know, with these Blu-ray box sets they give us a chance to reappraise and reevaluate seasons we might not be too keen on. But yeah, the stuff I've watched so far, the Graham Williams documentary is incredibly beautiful, and I recommend watching it before you watch any of the stories, because it puts the era in a new perspective, and you know, it really sort of, you know, really gives you a good understanding of who Graham Williams was. And you know, and a massive thank you to the family for allowing, you know, us Doctor Who fans to know the full picture. And know more about Graham besides just his Doctor Who contributions. On to the DVD now. Now this is a very special edition for the collection, and I feel incredibly lucky and privileged to have this, and it is a fine edition for the Doctor Who collection, and it is this Galaxy 4 loose cannon reconstruction signed by Maureen O'Brien. Now, I'm wondering why is this so special? Well, the wonderful Stephen Noonan sent this to me, which is incredibly kind of him, and me and Luke are incredibly grateful for the friendship we have with Stephen, and we feel very lucky that we get to chat with the great man himself and talk all things Doctor Who. And this is a really lovely little surprise. Obviously it must have been done when he was recording Fugitive of the Daleks, which me and Luke have reviewed, and you should buy it because it is a great story and is a great release, one of my favourites of the year so far. So to get this little special piece, I've not met Maureen O'Brien before, so this is a nice little addition to the collection. And Galaxy 4 I quite like as a story, so yeah, it'd be great to have this little addition to the collection, and with this sort of story behind it, it's become one of my favourite pieces in my collection. I think it's a truly magical, special piece. So yes, thank you, Mr. Stephen Noonan. Moving on to magazines, kicking off with Doctor Who The Chronicles 1971. Now this sort of became an obsession last year to try and get all the Chronicle magazines that have came out so far. And this is the latest iteration, the 1971, covering season 8 of Doctor Who. Now these are really well put together magazines. They're great, covering the season overview, a little bit about the stories, about the merchandise, and sort of the inspiration for the seasons. These are just really great sort of time capsule, sort of giving you sort of a year overview, what was happening. Really lovely stuff within this little interview with Katie Manning. I love these little Chronicle books. They're great little editions. They're not that expensive. It talks about sort of the costumes within the season, and it's got some lovely photos I've not seen before, little sort of writer profiles and sort of stuff what was going on in the culture of 1971, a little bit about Richard Franklin, and what some of the actors were doing after Doctor Who. But yeah, this is a really lovely little thing, and great addition for anyone's collection if you're into the Chronicles. But yeah, really nice addition. The next magazine I found in a local collectible shop, which will kickstart the next segment of this collection update. But the first I'm going to show you this, which is the Doctor Who magazine 50 Years Doctor Who The Daleks. Now this was part of a wave of magazines with the Doctor, Companions and the Daleks, and that sort of spawned sort of the Essential Guide. But yeah, I never got the Daleks when it came out, but I'm finally picked up, filled that sort of gap in the collection, sort of talks about all the various things of the Daleks. So yeah, this is sort of a nice little time capsule reminiscing on sort of 50 years of Doctor Who and the Daleks. So yeah, really nice little magazine. Yeah, I really like these Essential Guide magazines. They're nice little fillers. I love looking about the merchandise, and it covers all the stories the Daleks were in up until that point, directing the Daleks, sort of the Dalek comics. Yeah, great little magazine, Big Finish Dalek stories. Obviously, we've had a load more since there, but yeah, that has been 50 years of the Daleks. So let's take a look at what other things I picked up in the local collectible shop. On to the main bulk of this local collectible shop, which, was an absolute sort of Aladdin's cave of Doctor Who merch, and it was great to find a local collectible shop with a nice sort of variety of Doctor Who merch that you don't see every day. So I picked up these two comics, the Lost Dimension Book 1 and Book 2, multi-Doctor comic event. Might as well pick it up for the collection because, multi-Doctor stories are always good fun, even though Titan Comics probably does way too many of them, and I'm quite excited to see what they do with the 15th Doctor. I'm sure there'll be a Doctor cameo in there. But on to the books, because I've gone back into the book collecting, because when you see books for a dirt cheap price, I think these are about £3. So I picked up some new series hardbacks. I picked up The Taking of Chelsea 4 to 6. Now this is part of the last wave of David Tennant books. Now that last wave of David Tennant books weren't in my area. I never saw them as a kid, whether because they were sort of popular because they had a returning monster, whether that be Judoon, Slitheen, Autons, Krillitane, Sontarans. I'm just missing Autonomy now, and then I will have the sort of complete sort of run of that story set, which would be great. So yeah, great to have that in the collection. The next new series hardback I picked up was the Stealers of Dreams by Steve Lyons. Now this is the last sort of Series 1 book I needed, the last Christopher Eccleston book I needed to get to complete the 9th Doctor book range, which is quite sad and quite satisfying. It's taken 19 years to complete that, but yeah, it's great to have that, and I think the Series 1 new series books have a completely different edge to them. They're more gritty compared to what you get with the 10th Doctor books, but yeah, it's great to finally have this in the collection to complete the Christopher Eccleston book range. The next two new series hardbacks, well, this one in particular, Wooden Heart, I already have, and you might be wondering, well, if you've already got it, why have you bought it? Is it signed? No. I've got the paperback version of this, and I personally prefer the new series hardbacks to paperbacks. I'm more of a hardback person to paperback, and I just think they look a lot better on the shelf. So I decided to upgrade this to hardback because I would love to get a sort of complete new series book collection. Quite a creepy cover with that sort of girl in the mist, very creepy. But yeah, great to have that in the collection. The next new series hard book I'm going to show is The Price of Paradise. Again, I upgraded this because I have the paperback version, but you know, to upgrade the hardback for £3. Not bad at all. The next set of books I'm going to show is EDAs and PDA. I've got one PDA, which is Science Fiction, which is a 4th Doctor and Leela book written by Chris Boucher. I think this is one of the later ones, I think, in the range. Because I know the PDAs sort of towards the end were very sort of limited print numbers, so they're quite expensive. And I think I'm only missing 10 or 12 past Doctor Adventure books, so to add this to the collection, you know, I think that this has sort of sparked my interest to try and complete the PDAs this year. But yeah, this book sounds like a nice blend of sort of the Pertwee era and Philip Hinchcliffe era, and obviously watching season 15 right now, I'm in the mood for some 4th Doctor and Leela content, so yeah, that is Science Fiction. In terms of EDAs, I picked up The Blue Angel. I know nothing about this. I just thought it's a book I don't have. I might as well get it for the collection, you know, because it would be nice to have the whole EDA collection, because I've mainly focused on the Virgin Missing Adventures and the past Doctor Adventures, and I've got a few EDAs, so I thought, you know what, let's plug a few gaps and get The Blue Angel. I did pick up another EDA, which was Timeless. Again, I know nothing about this book in particular, but yeah, I didn't even know this existed, because the EDA covers are quite sort of abstract, and they're quite weird covers, and yeah, definitely look like a product of its time. And then the penultimate EDA I picked up was Hope. Again, no idea about this one. Didn't even know it was a legit sort of Doctor Who book. It's an EDA, but yeah, one book I did know about the EDAs, what I had to pick up straight away, which was Doctor Who Sometime Never. What a lovely creepy cover. Now this sort of completes some of the arcs in the EDAs, because the EDAs is quite arc heavy, and I thought, you know what, I'll get this, and it was, you know, a cheap price. I think it was about, you know, £6. So for £6, definitely worth picking up, because it's quite one of the more rarer EDA books. Now, the last thing I picked up in that collectible shop was the 1996 edition of Who's There?, the William Hartnell autobiography by his granddaughter. So it'd be great to finally sort of read that, because I've got, well, sort of biography of her grandfather, and I thought it'd be a great little pickup to get, because it's something I've always wanted to get, and when I saw it I thought, you know what, I'm going to pick that up. So yeah, that is that. So now I've got William Hartnell, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison and Christopher Eccleston sort of autobiographies and biographies So I just need to get the Patrick Troughton one now, really. But yeah, great to add the William Hartnell one to the collection. On to the last lot of books. Thanks to Mel, she got me for my birthday the Star Beast Target novelisation, which has become quite a special story because we watched it in London together. We've done a vlog covering the Riverside Studios exhibition and sort of our thoughts on the Star Beast, so check out that video. So yeah, the Star Beast is probably my favourite of the 60th anniversary specials. I just love it, and I own so many versions of the Star Beast now. I have the Target book, I've got the graphic novel, I've got the Star Beast from Doctor Who magazine, just the actual comic, and I've got the Big Finish audio. So I own quite a few versions of the Star Beast. Good job I like the story. And who knows, for a fun little video I might do a sort of video sort of going, what is the best Star Beast version, what's the best version of the story of the Star Beast. That would be quite a fun video, wouldn't it? The next book is Wild Blue Yonder. I think you can sense where this is going. But yeah, by Mark Robbis. The next book is Wild Blue Yonder by Mark Morris. I think this is going to be quite an interesting one to translate into sort of prose. So I'm quite excited to give that one a read because I just adore the 6th anniversary specials. I'm not a person who gets every Target book, but when it's something special like the 6th anniversary, you just got to go for it. And then the last one, of course, is The Giggle by James Goss, which I think seems like the most interesting Target book because it's all done sort of in moves and it's got sort of this fun sort of games within it. So I think it's going to be quite exciting to read this Target book, and quite experimental. So yeah, I love it when the Target books sort of do something a little bit different, a little bit quirky, and that's sort of the Target books I'm sort of more drawn to, because I think mostly the Target books are kind of, you know, just basically, you know, word for word the episode what we have on our screens, and I like when they sort of divert from what we get on screen, like the Rose novelisation and Dalek. So yeah, this seems like a nice sort of fun experimental one. Before we move on to the Big Finish, I thought I'd show you the latest edition, what has arrived today in the post, and that is a Robert Harrop figurine, and it is, if you can't guess from that jarring cacophony, it is Omega from the Arc of Infinity. This was a little birthday present for myself, and yeah, this has arrived today. It was sort of up for pre-order on the 2nd of March, I think, or the 1st actually, yeah, the 1st of March. And here he is in all his sort of 80s glory. Yeah, I love the Robert Harrop figurines. This is number 39 out of 225. Now this took a little bit of time to sell out. I think it took like 2 days. Normally the Robert Harrop stuff sells out within a few hours. But yeah, this is a glorious looking figurine with sort of the dry brushing of sort of the bronze and the gold. It is just a really stunning piece. You can really admire the detail, you know, on the sort of cloak there. And you know, I like to get sort of characters that Character Options haven't done, and to get representation on the shelf for it. And I think Character Options, if they really wanted to, could do Omega from Arc of Infinity, sort of use the Axon Man body, new head, some new sort of overlay pieces, and maybe a soft goods sort of cloak, and we could have Omega from Arc of Infinity. But yeah, really nice addition to have to the collection. But yeah, great addition. I love the Rob Harris stuff, and yeah, it's nice to have that representation on the shelf. Even though it's not my favourite Omega design, it's great to have sort of Arc of Infinity represented on the shelf in some way, because I have a soft spot for it. I just need the Ergon now. Give me the Space Chicken. Go on, Robert Harrop. We know you can do it. We know we can do it. Moving on to audio and Big Finish. So the first audio I'm going to show is not a Big Finish one. Again, it was a gift from Mel. It is Escape the Daleks by Steve Lyons, read by Katie Manning. As you can see, what a glorious cover that is. Graphics design is my passion. Yeah, sarcasm. This, yes, definitely isn't one of the best covers out there. I've not listened to this. I don't know if Nick Briggs does the Dalek voices, or is it Katie Manning voicing the Daleks? If it is, that's going to be pretty iconic. I may review this story. But yeah, since it's the Third Doctor, had to pick it up. So yeah, thank you, Mel, for picking me up Escape the Daleks, because I think it's all based on sort of escape rooms from the little teas I've listened to. Moving on to actual Big Finish now. Big Finish have started a mini-series starting to release sort of box sets in sort of single form releases and the first sort of Doctor Who foray of that is Sontarans versus Rutans with the Battle of Giant's Causeway. Me and Luke have reviewed all of these stories, so check out our Big Finish review playlist so you can check out all the reviews so far where we see the return of Kariz. And so far, this has been my favourite one. This is my favourite of the series so far. I just had a real great time within it. And I think the thing with these Sontaran versus Rutan stories is you don't need to buy them all to enjoy the overarching story. They're very much standalone stories with a little bit of an arc. They're obviously, the last story isn't out yet, so I can't sort of comment how it concludes. But I've just had a really good time with all of the stories so far. The next instalment in that is the Children of the Future with Third Doctor, Sarah and the Brig. This is very much sort of a Doctor Light story. It's very much focusing on Sarah and the Brig, which is great. And, you know, glorious cover art by Sean Longmore. And, yeah, another fun story. Now, the latest Sontarans vs. Rutan story is Born to Die with the Sixth Doctor and Charlie. One of the best Sixth Doctor releases in recent years. I've had a bit of a rough ride with the Sixth Doctor on Big Finish since sort of 2020. And this is him back on form. I've just started listening to the Quinn Dilemma, so I'm hoping that's another good release for the Sixth Doctor. Because this is sort of made me appreciate Colin again, because I sort of soured on him sort of in the Purity arc and sort of the other stuff like the Doctor of War stuff he did. I was like, this isn't really it. Because normally Colin's, you know, got some solid stories, but I didn't think Colin had a good story since Plight of the Pimpernel. This is where Colin got good again for me. But yeah, very, very good story, and I love the inclusion of Charlie. The first physical Big Finish box set of the year, Fugitive for the Daleks by Jonathan Morris. You should buy it. It's a great story. It's a love letter to the Hartnell Dalek stories, and it's got such scale within it. It's very much inspired by The Chase, and it's got some really great touching character moments. You know, Stephen Noonan's, you know, probably is his best performance as the Doctor. He's got some great moments within it, and I don't really want to spoil it because it's got so many nice little twists and turns. And, you know, the ending, my goodness, that ending, it will make every fan chuckle and laugh and go, my goodness, Jonathan Morris, you did that. And it's a lot of fun, I did enjoy that release. Next up we have Storm of the Sea Devils. Again, we have reviewed this release recently, and the more me and Luke sort of talked about it, the more we fell in love with it. This is the best Sea Devil story since the Sea Devils in 1972. This is a great release. Again, me and Luke have reviewed pretty much all the Big Finish you're seeing right now. And the other story, Worlds Beyond, is fine. It's fine, but the main event of this box set is Storm of the Sea Devils, and it doesn't disappoint after waiting, 4 years to finally listen to it. Then we have The Last Day Part 1. A lot of people have been asking, do you recommend this? It's really hard to judge because it is part 1 of a story. It's a 6-parter. I think if you want to check it out, listen to the Quantum Possibility Engine and Dark Universe to get a basic understanding of where this sort of event is going. I think I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't recommend it just yet. I think that it's weird. Not a lot happens. It's quite 7th Doctor light within it, and what it's going for is quite interesting. But again, it's half of the story. I can't really recommend it just yet because I want to see how the second half goes. Before I make my proper judgment on it. Then me and Luke's latest Big Finish review, which is Revolution in Space, which is a very authentic slice of the Third Doctor era, maybe to its own fault, because this is sort of the budget story of the season. You know, you can hear the CSO, you can hear the wire work. It's just an authentic sort of Pertwee 6-parter, you know, sort of completing the In Space trilogy. From Colony in Space to Frontier in Space, we have a Revolution in Space. This is a great story for Sadie Miller, probably Sadie Miller's best performance on Big Finish. It's got some interesting ideas, but yeah, check out our review on that. Next up we have Rani Takes on the World, which is The Revenge of Wormwood. I've not listened to this set, But yeah, I'm excited to listen to it eventually because we've got the Bane and the return of Luke and Mrs. Wormwood, a key thing in the Sarah Jane adventures. So yeah, it'd be great to finally listen to that when I get a chance, because Big Finish's output just keeps on rolling. As you can see, there's a load of Big Finish. The next Big Finish I'm going to show is an 11th Doctor box set, which is Everywhere and Anywhere. I've still not received Victory of the Doctor, the last box set of this series, and this series, go and buy it if you haven't checked it out. Get Geronimo, listen to it, because you know, when you get to Victory of the Doctor, everything becomes so satisfying. It's a love letter to the Moffat era, and you know what it does is it picks the plot holes and goes, hey, those plot holes, we're going to sort of rectify them and make complete sense. Now what it does with the Cybermen within this is probably the best Matt Smith Cyberman story. I guess that's not saying much, but how it sort of introduces another element to the Cybermen which links to Series 7. It's really good. It's a really good, and what the message behind it is with the Cybermen within it is quite bleak with sort of conversion therapy. Yeah, it's dark, it's bleak, it's by Alfie Shaw, it's quite depressing, and therefore it is a brilliant story. It's a great release. Overall, yeah, really good stuff, and the middle story within this set really just sort of play into the last box set within it, and of course we get a festive special to kickstart the box set. Now the last Big Finish I'm going to show, at last, finally, Once and Future is complete on CD for now until Coda. So we have Time Lord Immemorial. These have taken such a long time to arrive, but you know, they're worth the wait. I know Big Finish have had a lot of trouble with these limited editions. I think they've probably learned their lesson with doing sort of embossed foil finishes on them, but yeah, it's great to finally have these releases. My limited edition number there is 2,208 out of 3,000, and of course we have the Union there with my limited edition number there. Again, me and Luke have reviewed these stories, so you can check out our thoughts, because Once and Future, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag, and this is probably the worst of the series. But yeah, the Union, quite an interesting ending with what it does. But yeah, it's great to finally have these two to complete Once and Future limited editions so far. I mean, we've still got Coda to come. That'll probably come out next year. But yeah, for now, that is Once and Future. So that concludes my birthday collection update for 2024. Plenty of Doctor Who merchandise from Big Finish, books for collection, and some lovely special pieces added to the collection. So thank you very much for watching this collection update. If you've enjoyed it, then please do like and subscribe for plenty more Doctor related content coming up in the near future, and I'll see you next time. So thank you very much, and bye bye.